Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dustin Cormier, and this is How to Rock Astrology. Today we're going to have another episode in our series of our Moon and Venus series. Today we are going to be talking about Libra Moon with Capricorn Venus. This means that Venus is in the Moon's 4th house. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Now, before we do, I've been setting up each of these episodes with a little bit of an intro, talking about what the symbolism of the Sun and the Moon and Venus are. So, if the Sun, as I've been talking about in my Mars and Sun series, if the Sun is the king, then the Moon is the queen. The Moon is a crescent sliver of our Sun's inner nature. It is our earthy subconscious whose sign, house, and aspects reveal the form that our Sun energy has to subside through. So, the Sun and Moon are kind of like this classic husband and wife duality happening within all of us, regardless of what gender you identify with. Each one of us has an anima and an animus inside of us. It's like the yin and yang of the Ajna chakra of the soul. So the husband, so think of it this way, the Sun is the king, like this husband, and he is what he is. There's really no changing him in some ways, but he is refined by his wife, the queen, the Moon, who gives a rhythm and a healthy and realistic ceiling for the Sun's potentials, like an earthbound personality that can actually express that sun nature. So at least when the Moon is working properly, it can do this, and it does do this. When you think about it, like the husband says, honey, I feel like having a piece of blueberry pie. And the wife looks at him and says, well, honey, you know what that does to your blood sugar? It's because, that's the wife giving a realistic assessment of what the husband can actually do. And that's our Moon. The Moon is what we can actually, it's the earthbound personality that we've developed through childhood. And without the Moon, the person doesn't know what they can actually realistically take on, what they realistically want in life with this Sun energy of theirs. So if we didn't need to eat, if we didn't need to sleep, if we didn't need to have sex or enjoy friendship or subjective meaning, our family, the area around what we do, because, during the day, noon is what we're doing with our Sun energy. But when we're done at the end of the day, 6 p.m., we go home to our family, to the people who we want to be around now that we're not doing what we do in the noontime. Right? So, if we didn't need to eat, to sleep, to have sex, to enjoy friendship, then we would infinitely express our Sun nature. But we do need to eat. We do need to sleep. We do need to come down, and we do need to have sex to a general degree. So, basically, if anybody wants to get into our personal quarters, they have to do so through the Queen, i.e., the Moon. Venus is the Sun's self-enjoyment style. Venus is how we express affection. It's the Sun's outgoing desire. But whatever Venus attracts is subject to the subconscious reaction complex of the Moon. So, let's talk a little bit about the particular combination that we're talking about today. We are, of course, looking at Libra Moon with Capricorn Venus. So this is Libra Moon, and Venus is in the Moon's 4th house. It's not really the same as being in the 4th house in the astrology chart. This is what we call a Chandra Lagna in Vedic astrology. This is the acting as if the Moon was the rising sign. And this is something that people do when they can't find their birth time. You have to be careful because the 4th house from the Moon is not the same thing as the 4th sign from the rising sign. The 4th house from the Moon is like how the Moon, which is already an emotional part of ourselves, The fourth house from the moon is like how the moon abides by its emotions. It's the emotions of our emotions. It's a confusing thing to talk about because it's so much of this lunar moon theme. Whenever you get a strong confluence of something, it's hard to see. Like, it's easy to talk about the third house from the moon because that's how we search for and get our emotions. The fourth house from the moon is like how we sustain. It's the emotional life and livelihood that we sustain and that we do sustain. So any planets in the fourth house from the moon show an importance in the subjective experience of life, show an importance of enjoying the subjective things in life, the internal dimensions of, like, when you're driving in your car, it's not just going to be important for you that the car gets you from A to B. When you've got Venus in the fourth house from your moon, it's probably also going to be important that you enjoy the trip. It's like there's an internal velvet interior that you are also enjoying, as well as the external experience of what you're enjoying. So, Libra moon, first of all, is really a reflective personality. Somebody who wants to enjoy listening to the other person, understanding the other person, and showing that they understand the other person. And they want their partners to kind of appreciate them for that. And to also be a little bit reflective themselves. As a Libra moon person, you're probably somebody who won't necessarily be a doormat per se, but you're somebody who actively you nurture yourself by feeling like you can be a stable, strong, adaptive listener and provide things for other people that they want. You want to be able to catch what the other person's expressed desires are, and you'll ask people, what would you like for your birthday? What would you like for Christmas? You ask people what their likes are. You ask people why they behave in the way that they do so that you can understand them better. And you want to be appreciated for that. And you kind of want the other person to do it a little bit for you, too. Now, this is just Moon in Libra is a sociable person. They like to kind of be able to talk to everybody. Although the Venus in Capricorn is a good place for Venus, I'm happy to say. Venus in Capricorn is a good place for Venus. Assuming there's no afflictions going on, this Venus, at least by sign anyway, is doing pretty well. Because Saturn is friendly to Venus. You'll notice I often give this diagram. I could dig out for it right now, but that's okay. Maybe I'll do it for another video. But essentially, the planets are kind of split in a way, where there's, on this side, there's Sun, Moon, Mars, and Jupiter. These are like the dynamic masculine planets that rule the fire and water signs, right? Over on this side is Venus, Mercury, and Saturn, and these all rule the earth and air signs. Notice that Venus rules Taurus and Libra, it's earth and air. And Saturn also rules Capricorn, which is an earth sign, and traditionally, it was considered that Saturn rules Aquarius, an air sign. So Venus here, which rules earth and air signs, is in an earth sign. So it's kind of in its own field. This is a good place for Venus in the sense that Venus here can learn how to enjoy itself greatly and deeply. This can mean typically by experiment, really. Saturn's a bit of an experimenter in the sense that it will endure over long periods of time trying to fully assimilate a certain thing. And with Venus in Capricorn, what Venus is learning, Saturn is pulling Venus to deeply experience and understand its own nature. This is true of Venus and Capricorn in general. And really, the Venus here enjoys bonding deeply to to whatever it is that it enjoys. Whenever Venus in Capricorn enjoys anything, it enjoys it deeply. So that is to say that since this person deeply enjoys, sorry, my brain's having a brain fart here. Since this person takes this time to deeply enjoy what it is that they enjoy in their lives, such a person will my brain just had to take a moment to just recombobulate it itself. It's because of the things going on in my house, but that's okay. Venus in Capricorn will so Saturn is going to coerce you to deeply enjoy whatever it is that you enjoy, and you'll do it for a long time. So the moon in Libra, being a socially reflective person, wants to be able to understand the other person and serve the other person. And Venus in Capricorn wants to have a lot of its own things to contribute to that enjoyment. And it also is probably good at stabilizing itself and not letting itself become a doormat through the moon in Libra, because the moon in Libra wants to be reciprocative, wants to reciprocate, wants to play at the other person's nature and desires and boundaries and goals in life and these sorts of things. The Venus in Capricorn is a self-subsisting energy, so that the Venus in Capricorn will deeply understand how its own nature would like to play out within that reciprocation that the moon in Libra applies, especially because, again, Capricorn is the 4th house from the moon in Libra. So this Venus, by interacting with others, it's always got its eye on how I can keep sustaining my enjoyment within this mutual enjoyment employed through the Venus in Capricorn. You're probably somebody who knows what you like, and you want to use what you like to your advantage in exploring how you can serve others through that moon in Libra, which is a really good place for Venus to be, because there's that self-reflection element there. There's your enjoyment is going to sustain your ability to serve other people, but it does mean that your terms are more prevalent in the deal than is typical of most moon in Libras. You are going to ensure that your needs are being met and that you can solidly commit to Saturn is this commitment. You can solidly commit to the things in your life as you have as an individual that you enjoy, and you can therefore also solidly commit with time and with scheduling and proper organization. You can submit yourself to what the other person's enjoyments are, and you'll organize them, and you'll find ways to fit the mutual enjoyment of the two of you. Especially, so long as, one thing you have to consider is that this is coming into close to a trine where the moon could be trining Venus, and in Vedic astrology, that's not considered a good thing. So look for a Venus aspect to the moon. If it's above, different astrology systems define the strength of trines in different ways. When any planet is in the 5th from the moon, it's not as powerful of a trine. It's the 9th house trine that really hits hard. And so when Venus is in the 9th house from the moon, it is almost as strong as a conjunction. And as we know, it's not good when Venus and the moon are aspecting too heavily, because the moon will overtake Venus. So if you have a Venus and moon trine happening here, what'll happen is that your instinctive need to be an individual in the relationship will be, you will experience a lack of satisfaction of what this Venus wants to experience, which is mutually individual and supportive and cohesive independence and not codependence. If the moon in Libra is trining the Venus in Capricorn too heavily, what's going to happen is that the moon in Libra is going to deeply desire to be respected and admired for its ability to, again, be receptive, and it'll become that doormat, and it will instinctively, in order to make itself feel secure instinctively, it's going to put itself at the will of its lover, and it will just keep trying to essentially undermine what it knows to be its own need for dedication to commitments and interests that are individual to you. So if there's a bit of a trine aspect there, you might find that you frustrate yourself. It just exacerbates what we call the negative qualities of the moon in Libra, which is where you can be a little bit too much of that doormat, as we talked about, right? So keep that in mind, but ultimately this should be a pretty good combination generally. Venus does well in Capricorn, and the moon is pretty, it's neutral in Libra, although again, we have to consider that the moon in Libra is very close to Scorpio. Scorpio is the debilitation point for the moon, which is why moon in Libra can almost be selfish in its need to be admired for its ability to listen to the partner. Remember, debilitation and exaltation work by proximity, not by sign. So this moon in Libra being so close to Scorpio kind of shows that the moon in Libra's desire to serve is coming from a selfish place. It's almost like your desire to serve is more important than the actual serving sometimes. So there's a danger here with that. And if this Venus is really well placed, it will actually help to build a proper, mature emotional consciousness for the moon in Libra. And this reflects on the fact that the Venus is in the 4th house from the moon. So I'm glad I got through that brain fog there for just a moment. Let's talk a little bit about, before we go further, we're going to talk about the moon in Libra in bed. And this is coming from Erotic Astrology by Phyllis Vega. So what's the moon in Libra like in bed? Your approach to lovemaking is glamorous and alluring. As a Libra moon, you appreciate the intricate rituals of old-fashioned courtship, and you enjoy being wooed with finesse and sophistication. And really, it's interesting that the moon in Libra reflects its own 4th house of Capricorn. We can see that all moon in Libras like to be wooed with finesse and sophistication. And Venus in Capricorn is just going to emphasize really that even more. It's the desire for the partner to have invested significant time in ways of having personal enjoyment with their partner. You're going to expect that the other person kind of knows how to have a good time, and also there's a wealth factor here. There's an abundance and wealth factor, meaning like a pouring of dedication. Venus in Capricorn kind of looks for the gesture of like a fair, especially if this is fair, like there's nothing the moon in Libra loves more than for the partner to deeply desire to get something or to do something for the partner, because the moon in Libra likes the other partner showing that care. So moon in Libra likes when the other partner wants to do something, take them on a date or buy them a gift or something like that. But if they say, it's expensive, it's expensive, honey, so let's just work it out. If there's no afflictions to the Venus, then you as the moon in Libra with Venus in Capricorn will say, fair, honey, fair, totally, totally, totally. Thank you for thinking of me. And then you walk around and blah, 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 and, we just sort of forget it. And then, if that person saves and works hard and is smart with their money, builds up enough excess wealth that they one day, you show up at your house and there's that thing that you both saw in the store window and you go, oh, I know he works so hard, Venus and Capricorn, to be able to care about me with this specific thing that I like. Moon in Libra, right? As long as there's no affliction to Venus, you aren't going to pressure your partner to do that kind of thing. That's something that you should be careful of and mindful of. But if you do it the right way, if you're savvy with this, there's nothing wrong with having a proper and appropriate concept of material finances and rhythm and abundance and enjoyment. And that's a big part of life, is having a balance between excess enjoyment and reserve in order to put your money and enjoyment towards the right and proper things and your time towards the right and proper things. This is something that is your own thing, probably within your own mind, but it's a necessary dimension of how you apply yourself in relationships. It can be freaky to other people who are looking at it, but really, Venus's penchant is that it is a spiritual salve rooted in material appropriateness and reality. And you can get a lot of enjoyment in life through this combination, and your partner will appreciate you for this. Ultimately, for the moon in Libra, sex and romance are intertwined in your mind, and you'd probably prefer artful seduction to a carnal free-for-all. At some level, for this person, sex doesn't mean anything if there isn't some kind of dedication and commitment and devotion in the way that we've described. For moon in Libra, your erotic sensuality emerges most readily in a sumptuous setting that engages all the senses. Luxurious bedding, sultry nightwear, soft music, flickering candles, and fresh flowers all add to the requisite spice that you give to your lovemaking. A special night dedicated to love in a romantic setting, with moonlight and whispered words of adoration, serves as a genuine turn-on. And affectionate gestures and loving words draw out your passion and get your sexual juices flowing. Remember, this is the moon. The moon is the bottom substrate, the environment that is necessary to be there in order to set up what is going to be the more deeper heights of enjoyment that come through Venus. Ultimately, you might, unless you're the type of person who just wants to bang around and just sort of enjoy people at the external level, anybody can be that no matter what sign combinations they are. Really, that would be reflective of some kind of moon difficulty or some kind of Jupiter difficulty of being kind of like a overly promiscuous person. Being promiscuous, again, is not even, I would necessarily consider that a bad thing. It depends on what you're looking for in life. But this person probably, at some level, especially because of the moon in Libra, is looking to have one specific partner that they love and that they enjoy. So this sultriness, the specialness of, sitting and talking about the stars and talking about what do you want to be when you grow up, and do you think you'd be this when you're 32? Those kinds of nice conversations, looking at the sky. This is all moon in Libra kind of enjoyment stuff. But really, with the Venus in Capricorn, it's going to be kind of so what do you want to do in the future? Do you want to have kids? What's your job prospects? And can we, it can be very nuts and bolts and practical with Venus and Capricorn, as they are looking for it to last, as Saturn does. So that was the moon in Libra, with a little bit of a tinge of my own interpretation of Venus and Capricorn. Let's take it from, again, this is Erotic Astrology by Phyllis Vega. We're going to talk about the moon in Libra with Venus and Capricorn in a combined reading. Moon in Libra, Venus and Capricorn. Individuals with this combination are studies in contrast. You're lively and full of fun in intimate company, Moon in Libra. And especially the Venus in the fourth house is reflective of this. You want and you deeply need to know everybody, to know your best friends, to keep your best friends for a long time, to keep your social circle. You're probably the type of person who wants old friends in a dedicated, deep social circle that you can employ the Venus and Capricorn through, because there's a tried and true element to the Venus and Capricorn. So people will appreciate that you're actually useful to people. You actually help people. You have things to offer your friends in your social circle. And as well, the Moon in Libra likes to be able to know all of them, to be a generally social person. So you are lively and full of fun in intimate company, and you want to enjoy the subjective experience of your life deeply through this chosen company. But yet you swiftly clam up among strangers. So the Capricorn doesn't know how to approach people until they've slowly learned them. And the Moon in Libra is so reflective that it will understand that its Venus can't possibly deeply come off very well unless it knows people well. So while the Moon in Libra is kind of social and not necessarily, like, it'll go to the parties and it'll say hi to everybody, it'll dress nice, and it'll attract people, but it's essentially shy until it gets to know people. In intimate situations, you're cuddly and affectionate one moment and cool and mysterious the next, owing to the Capricorn Venus. Since both your Moon and Venus are in cardinal signs, you tend to be like being the one in control, the one moving and swerving things, and you may often find yourself involved in power struggles with your partner. That's interesting. And that in some ways relates to what I was talking about with the Moon in Libra and Venus being in the fourth house in Capricorn from the Moon. There is a need for you with Venus and Capricorn to be an individual. Now, it's ironic that you display yourself as a Moon and Libra person who wants to be receptive and wants to cater to the other person, but the other person needs to know when the sacrifices that you're making. Because it's the level of sacrifice and effort that you're putting in needs to be accounted for with that Venus and Capricorn. Not to say that that's like egotistical, like who's, when it comes to doing things with your lover, who's counting? Like, nobody's really counting. But you will find that you'll get frustrated if you are doing a bunch of things and it's not being appreciated. Ultimately, it takes more than love to hold on to you. You want a life partner who caters to your physical needs in the bedroom and romances you in style in the rest of the house. And the Capricorn needs to show a deep investment of a deep, earthy sort of sensuality and lovemaking that can be probably very sort of like raw at times. It's hard to say. It's more of a Sun and Mars sort of thing. But you are somebody who likes to appreciate another person being good and capable at lovemaking or at whatever it is that they do. And for you to be that too, and for those to meet in the middle. So, this is a long episode today, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Dustin Cormier for How to Rock Astrology. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. Thanks for watching.